Okay, so I thought we would go through the 5 must-have drawing supplies for any graphite artist. So obviously, the more um, suppliers you have, the better. But the 5 main ones. Number one, pencils. You obviously can't do a lot without pencils. I would suggest at least 2 pencils, one lighter and one darker. So this one's a HB and this one's a 2B. Most of my drawings I use 4 pencils, so I use a 4H, HB, 2B, and a 4B. But you can, as long as you've got two different, um, one lighter and one darker, then you'd be surprised at what you can create. So um, if I just let's just do a quick lock of hair. So this is the HB pencil. And again, you can vary your pressure with your pencil as well, so you can start creating darker places with your HB pencil. But then if you come in with your 2B as well, that's when you can really start making some nice shadows and some nice texture, when you can start seeing through the hair, and so you're seeing the dark bits and then you're seeing the lighter bits on top. So you definitely need more than one pencil um, if you're going to create something that looks fairly realistic. Um, Again, just you'd be surprised how much depth and dimension you can create just from having two pencils. Again, press harder on this as well if you want to get some darker areas in there. There we go. So then, appreciate that's a bit crude, but I'm just trying to show you what you can do with just 2 pencils. Second on the list is blending stumps. Now, these are they just make drawing so much easier. Um, so again, if we just gently blend over the top of what we've just done, it just takes the harshness out. It just makes everything much more cohesive and working together. Um, Really cheap, don't cost much money. You can clean them so that you can use them again and again and again. Um, and all they are is just paper wrapped really tightly together. I mean, they're quite firm. You can obviously damage the point, but you can't really press on it and break it, so to speak. Um, so definitely, I would recommend some blending stumps. Number 3, erasers. So this one is a putty eraser or a kneaded eraser, whichever way you want to say it. But these you can mold into any shape. They again are relatively inexpensive, um, self-cleaning. So if you get one that's dirty after you've been using it a while, you just do this, just manipulate it in your hands. It's a bit like blue tack, but it's a bit stretchier and a bit different, but it's got the same sort of feel. Um, but yeah, so and then you can mold it into any shape that you want. I tend to use it in a teardrop shape, so I'll have a fat end like that, and then a thin end, and then so you can leave a thinner like that, or you can make it into like a chisel tip like that, and then you can swipe that through, start picking out some highlights in your hair. That's one good thing that you can do with a kneaded eraser. The other thing is you can just tap it. So if that was a bit dark there and you wanted it a bit lighter, you can just gently tap over it and remove some graphite that way. As you can see, that's gone lighter. And then if you wanted to get it really lighter, you can really, really tap on it. It's got rid of most of that. So yeah, a kneaded eraser, I would definitely recommend. It's so handy. And then the next thing, number 4, is a Tombow eraser, or one of these little pen erasers. Basically, this is that's the rubber in the end of it, so they're only small, but these are absolutely brilliant for taking out really fine hairs. Let me just sharpen that. So you can. So at the moment, the tip on it is quite rounded. It's not very good for sharp hairs like that. So if you push it all the way in, and then just push it out till just the top bit's showing, and you can get a knife and just take that top bit off, so it's nice and flat, like so. Helps if you've got a sharper knife, but there we go. So it's flat, and then push that out so that it's nice and flat around the edge. You see now it's much flatter, and it's not so domed across the top. So then you can put it on its side and use the edge to get some really fine details. Then you can get some really fine hairs over the top of what you've already put down. Like so. Really helpful tool. Everything that I've mentioned so far is important, but I would say the main two, obviously, pencils you need. This, I would advise getting one of these and one of these, but if you can only get one, I would probably say get this one, because you can do more with it. So you can pinch that end so it's more like this, so that then you can take the fine hairs out. I find that difficult to do with the putty eraser. Yes, it works, but I find it much easier with one of these. So if you can get both, definitely get both. These are so worth it. And then the last thing is brushes. So I've got 2 brushes here. This big one I use for sweeping away the all the rubber bits, so you can see like all these black bits from where I've rubbed. So just gently sweeping over the top, sweep away all the bits. Don't do it with your hand. Don't start rubbing away bits of rubber with your hand, because you've got oils all in your hands, and you don't like wear your hands. But even if you've just washed your hands and sat down, you'll still have oils and stuff in your hands and on your fingers, that will impart on your drawing, and you will be able to see them. And the last thing that you want to do is get to somewhere where you've swiped some graphite off, left a print on there, and then when you go over the top shade, and all of a sudden this fingerprint comes, or this swipe comes, and it's so difficult to get rid of. So definitely don't be swiping away all that rubber with your finger or your hand, because it will honestly make a mess. And then the other thing I use a brush for, so this one's a bit of a smaller brush, and this is really good for brushing when you've got some graphite down, some texture down, but you don't want to use the blending stumps. you can brush a bit of graphite around with the brush as well and blend things out that way. Um, yeah, so everything that I've said really, for a basic set, I definitely advise, because it just makes life so much easier if you've got the right tools and the right equipment. It really does. And then, so you see, once you've taken those highlights out, you can go back in and just clean some edges up. Anyway, I'm getting carried away. That's not what we're here for. So yeah, those are definitely the 5 things I would advise any graphite artist to acquire. Right, that's it for this one. Um, I've got lots more coming up. We're going to be doing some tutorials in coloured pencils, in pastel pencils, with graphite, so and pan pastels. So yeah, make sure you like and subscribe and hit that bell so that you don't miss out. And I'll see you very shortly.